let's just dive right into this. I want you to picture a scene for a second. It's late at night, the office is completely empty, the lights are mostly off, and there's a young manager sitting alone in front of this glowing computer screen. And on that screen, it's a spreadsheet packed with quarterly numbers. But here's the catch. Those numbers have been massaged. They've been tweaked. They've been pushed just a tiny bit past the line of reality to make the targets look good. The manager's hand is literally hovering right over the mouse, just hesitating over that submit button. You can almost feel the tension, right? I mean, we've all felt some version of that pressure. The intense pressure to just get it done, hit the goal, survive the quarter. But before that finger actually clicks down on the mouse, we really need to talk about what is actually happening in that moment.
Now, this completely flips how we usually talk about this whole topic. Look, when we hear the word ethics, we usually brace ourselves for a moral lecture, right? Like some wagging finger telling us to be a good person. But the reality is entirely different, and frankly, it's so much more powerful. Ethics is not a moral lesson. Ethics is a strategy. It's a highly pragmatic business strategy. Because the hard reality of business is that the bill for unethical behavior always arrives. It literally never gets lost in the mail. It always shows up right at your door. The only question, and I mean the only question, is what percentage of interest you're going to pay when it finally does.
So let's jump into section 1, the cost of unethical business. When we zoom out from that one manager sweating at their desk and look at the broader corporate landscape, the evidence of that delayed bill becomes completely impossible to ignore. Enron, Lehman, WeWork, Theranos. These were massive, supposedly untouchable corporate giants. They were the darlings of the business world, plastered on absolutely every magazine cover. But I really want you to think about this for a second. Did a single one of these companies collapse because they lacked talent? Did they fall apart because they couldn't hire smart engineers or brilliant marketers or top-tier financial analysts? Absolutely not. No way. They had the absolute best talent that money could buy. They fell due to a lack of ethics. And here's the truly chilling reality of it all. Corporate collapse almost never happens overnight because of one massive, cartoonish villain making one totally evil decision. That's just in the movies. In reality, it happens drop by drop. It happens shortcut by shortcut, compromise by compromise. It's that manager clicking submit on a slightly altered spreadsheet, and then someone else hiding a small flaw in a product. It just becomes a pattern, right? A culture, until the entire foundation is completely hollowed out. Which brings us to section 2. Blanchard's philosophy of success. So how do we actually build a solid foundation instead? Well, we turn to the highly pragmatic philosophy of Kenneth Blanchard and Norman Vincent Peale. They looked deeply into what actually makes success stick around, and they found this. People who feel good about themselves produce good results. I just love this quote. It carries such a warm, grounded authority. You see, Blanchard and Peale aren't framing ethics as some heavy, annoying burden you have to drag around that gets in the way of your success. It's the exact opposite. Ethics and efficiency are not opposites. They are literally the exact same lever, just viewed from two different angles. When you operate with integrity, you don't have to constantly look over your shoulder. You have a clear conscience, high self-esteem, and that mental clarity translates directly into high-quality, sustainable work. Ethics is the actual system that makes success possible to maintain. Because think about it. Without that ethical system, any win you get is essentially a sugar crash just waiting to happen. An unethical win is nothing but a fleeting rush. Sure, okay, it might look brilliant for a moment. You hit the quarterly target, the boss gives you a high five, the stock bumps up, but because it's built on this completely hollow foundation of compromises, it is incredibly fragile. The very moment real pressure mounts, the moment someone looks just a little too closely at the numbers, the whole illusion shatters. And the crash? It's always painful. All right, let's move on to section 3. Short-term versus long-term. Let's bring this right back to ground level, back to the daily anxieties of a young manager. You might be sitting there listening to this thinking, okay, this sounds great in theory, but what if my competition is cheating? What if they're lying to get ahead? And if I don't make a little compromise myself, I simply won't hit my numbers. It is a very real, incredibly stressful dilemma, but the absolutely crucial point here is how we frame this. This isn't actually a moral question at all. It's a temporal one. It's all about time. Shortcuts absolutely win the short game. If you cheat, yeah, you'll probably win today. But integrity wins the long game. It really is just a straightforward choice between immediate gratification and lasting value. Take the shortcut scenario, for example. At first, you get that exhilarating sugar rush. By fudging the numbers or maybe over-promising to a client, you might see a beautiful, shiny 12% gain for the quarter. Boom! You are the hero of the office. But fast forward 3 years, the truth comes out, the product fails to deliver, the trust is entirely broken, and you are staring down a catastrophic 38% drop. The bill has arrived and the interest rate is just brutal. That short-term win was entirely an illusion. Now, I want you to contrast that with the integrity scenario. By refusing to compromise, by telling the client the hard truth, or just reporting the real, unvarnished numbers, your initial gain might be a big flat 0% for the quarter. Honestly, it's not glamorous. It might even be pretty uncomfortable in the moment. But you're building a foundation. Because you've built genuine trust, because your clients actually know you're reliable, and because your team isn't busy hiding systemic flaws, 3 years down the line, you experience a massive 24% sustained growth. This right here is the compound interest of integrity. A slower, honest start leads to highly sustained, robust growth that simply doesn't shatter under pressure.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, 3 questions for the end.
So, how do we actually implement this in real life so we don't end up sweating over a submit button at midnight? Well, Blanchard recommends a super simple 3-minute evening routine. We're not talking about some massive, tedious corporate training program here. It's something you can literally do tonight. At the end of your workday, whether you're closing your laptop or maybe sitting in your car in the driveway before heading inside, just ask yourself these 3 steps. Step 1, what did I do well today? You got to acknowledge your genuine wins. Step 2, what am I not proud of? Now, this is the crucial part where you catch those tiny drops of compromise before they turn into a flood. Did you stretch the truth in a meeting? Did you ignore a coworker who clearly needed help? Just be totally honest with yourself. And step 3, what will I do differently tomorrow? This beautifully turns guilt into actual strategy. The recommendation here is to try this for just 5 days in a row. Just 5 days of 3 minutes each to completely reset your mindset and align your daily actions with your long-term strategy. And so I want to leave one incredibly important question ringing in your ears today. How long are you here? Are you just trying to survive this quarter? Are you literally just trying to get through to Friday by any means necessary? Or are you building a career, a reputation, and a business that is actually going to stand the test of time? Because remember, the bill always arrives, but you get to choose the currency you pay it in. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer on effective management. Next time, we're going to dive into the 3 specific questions Blanchard recommends asking before you make any major decision. Until then, take those 3 minutes tonight, and I'll see you in the next explainer.